Hello, so welcome back to my channel. It's Ijoma here, and in today's video we'll be talking about how to sew fast, like how to be a productive tailor. Okay, so I'm dedicating this one for our tailors at the wall front. Even if you're not doing the commercial tailoring, I am dedicating this video to you. This video is specially made for you. Okay, so when I say tailors at the wall front, I mean the ones that are into commercial sewing. Most times people have asked me how I manage to sew so fast. Do you know that you can submit, or let's say you can request for a tutorial today, and in the next 1 hour 2 hours I am almost done with the tutorial and I upload. Yes, so as a fashion tutor I sew all the time. When I say I sew all the time, I sew all the time. And one thing that I have realized, and one thing that have made me like achieve this speed whenever I am sewing, are these things that I am going to list. These are the things that has helped me so far. So number one is to plan. So most of us already know these tips, but a lot of us are still starting, are still new in the business, and they need to know how to be productive. Because if you're a slow tailor, I promise you, you will not achieve so much. So these are the tips that are going to help you to sew fast and to achieve a lot in a day or for the week. Okay, now the first one is to plan. Before I start cutting, I have already done all the cutting, the laminating, the sewing, the joining. I've already done everything in my head. That is one thing that have helped me a lot. Before I enter my cutting table, I have cut that stuff in my head. I have pieces, everything in my head. I have arranged, I have sewn, like I have planned out how I am going to do every little thing. When I say every little thing, even the button, fixing of button, I've already planned out everything. So most of the time, like I sew in my school, and most of the time my physical students are with me. But before you know it, I'm done and YouTube video is ready. And they'll be wondering, how did you do it? That is because most times I spend so much time in my head more than on my sewing machine or on my cutting table. Yeah, so that's what I mean by plan. So before you start drafting, draft that in your head. You will cut in your head. You will like have, let's say, a vision or a picture of what you are going to have at the end of the day. So that is one thing that I do. I sew in my head, I cut in my head before I enter my sewing or my cutting table. Now the next thing is pattern drafting. A lot of people underrate pattern drafting. I don't know why. They will say that it takes much time. It is not true. Pattern drafting actually saves you time if you know what you are doing, because once you are done doing some things on your pattern, you may not have to repeat them on your fabric. Number one example is that, do you know that you can close so many dots on paper? So if you are sewing, you may not really need to close that. You will not need to pick here and pick there and mark here and mark there and all those things. No, pattern drafting actually saves you time. I used to be a lover of freehand, and I'm still a fan of freehand. But one thing that I have realized is that pattern drafting saves you time more than freehand cutting. Yes, because once you are done on that paper, all you are now doing is place and cut, place and cut, place and cut. You don't need to mark with your chalk. You don't need to like cross check. You don't need to cross check so many things because you have done all the rough work on your paper. So even if you make any mistake in the process of sewing that cloth, going back to the drawing board will be very easy for you. You can, once you keep your pattern or once you save your pattern, all you have to do is to like pick up that pattern and you are done cutting again and you are working. Yeah, so pattern drafting helps you. It helps you take zipper board, it helps you take so many things, it helps you eliminate so many joining and so many sewing on paper before you go to your sewing machine. Now another thing that will help you to be a fast tailor or to sew fast is making out a day for cutting. Though if you are this type that does urgent work and so forth, it may not really favor you, but then making out a particular day for cutting is really important. Any day that I will do batch sewing, there are some days that I do batch sewing, like batch content creation, batch sewing. When I say batch sewing, I mean there are some days that I make out, like I dedicate my time to sewing throughout that day. So what I normally do is that I will sometimes, any day that I've made up my mind to do that, I wake up very early in the morning and I will focus on pattern drafting. There are some days that I will draft like 4 clothes. I'll just focus on pattern drafting for that day and I will do drafting throughout, then cut. So it also gives you this like stress relief, because anytime, any day that you want to sew that clothes, you will be surprised on, like, you'll be surprised that you finish a dress that you're supposed to finish in 5 hours under 2 hours, because this time around you're not starting afresh. This time around you're not starting from scratch, because you have already done the drafting, you have already done the cutting. So any day that you wake up and you want to sew, you may end up sewing up to 2 or 3 clothes that day, because no cutting, you are not running around. Cutting has involves a lot of running around, checking your phone. You would recheck the style, you will check measurements, you will check this, sometimes you even browse, you even enter YouTube just to get that particular style ready. But if you have made out a day or a night, you can be gisting with somebody and you are drafting or you are cutting. Yes, so if you can make out a day or a night to do all your drafting and all your cutting, it will make the sewing process very fast. So anytime you enter your sewing machine, you will know that you're not standing up from that machine. You will do all the joining once. Now, another practical step, this one, I call this one practical step because it is what I have done, I have been doing. So what I do is that I laminate full lining, like instead of cutting my pieces and then adding hard gum or interface to all of them, instead of cutting all your pieces and adding interface or hairstay to it one by one, add hairstay or interface to a full lining. Let's say that you are making a bustier or a bodice. You already know that 1 yard of lining will be enough for your bustier or your bodice. What you are going to do is that you will cut out 1 yard of lining and you will add interface to the lining throughout. This helps you a lot, because when it comes to lining does not have right side and wrong side. So sometimes after cutting your lining in pieces, when it is time to laminate or when it is time to add interface, you will find it very difficult. Sometimes you may even make mistakes because you will add right. Sometimes you will not, at the end of the day you realize that you don't have right and you don't have left. So the best way to do it is, since you know that 1 yard, or let's say what I normally use is 30 inches. So 1 yard is 36 inches, but I use 30 inches. I don't cut up to that 36 inches. I know that 30 inches can give me a full bodice or bustier. So what I'll do is that I will cut out 30 inches lining and I will add interface to the full lining, so that once I'm done cutting on my main fabric, as I'm cutting on my line, the only thing I'm doing right now is just to fold and cut, fold and cut. So this time around, you are not cutting your lining in pieces and then going back to your table to laminate or to add interface. No. So I always advise my students, even when I was sewing, my apprentices back then, once they come to work, if they are free, they will cut 30 inches lining. They will cut like 1 yard, 2 yards, 3 yards, and they will add interface or hairstay to all of them. Most times tailors use black lining. They will just add full, that time that the fabric is still full, the lining is still full, they will add interface to it, so that once we are done cutting our main fabric, all you have to do on your lining is to fold and cut, fold and cut. The same thing applies to your main fabric. If you know that 30 inches will be enough to cut your bustier, just cut out 30 inches from your fabric and add interface to it, so that you not have to be adding interface one by one to all your pieces, center front, center back, side piece, all those things. No. So once you are done drafting, you will just fold your fabric, cut, fold, cut. So anyone you cut already has interface. That is one of the easiest way to achieve fast sewing. Before you know it, you are done cutting, you are done doing everything. Yeah, so that is what we normally do. I hope you understand what I mean by that. Let's say you are cutting a 3-piece bra cup. You know that 3-piece bra cup has so many pieces. So what you're going to do is to add interface to the main fabric before you start cutting those small pieces, because if you cut it without interface, when it is time to add interface, you will have a lot of work to do. So that is one of the ways I reduce my time wasting on all those small small stuff. Yeah. So another thing that will help you is to finish all the laminating. Let's say you are sewing a skirt and blouse, a 6 pieces skirt and blouse. Cut everything that you cut once, cut part once, add interface once, iron your part to the main fabric once. Do everything that you are doing on that table, that ironing part, the laminating part. When I say laminating, what I mean is adding interface or your wording to your main fabric. Do everything once. Don't like so iron skirt and come back, iron bodies and come back. No, iron, add interface to anything, any piece that you want to add interface to while you are still on your table. Yes. So now that you are going to your sewing machine, you pack everything. That's what I do. So if I am going to my sewing machine, I'll pack all the pieces that I have cut already. So once I get to my sewing machine, once I sit, the next thing that will take me back to my sewing machine is going to iron all the joining. You know, after joining anywhere, you iron, right? That's the only thing that will make me to stand up from that machine again. So once I enter my machine, I will start joining. I'll do straight sewing, like straight sewing, joining. Before I'll stand up from that machine, I've already joined my front block. I've already closed all the dart. I've already joined. Let's say I'm sewing a 6 pieces skirt. I've already joined all the pieces. Now I'll go back to my sewing machine, to my table. Once I get to my table, I'll iron all the small small allowance, all those half inch allowance for the first joining. And once I go back to my machine, I know that I am entering the turning stage. I will continue turning and turning. So doing your job half is not really a good way to save time, because you will sew the upper bodies and then you come back to the skirt, you start adding interface to the skirt. Like, no, it is stressful and it takes time. So once you want to do a particular thing, do it once, so that when you go to your sewing machine, you will not be standing up here and there, you will not be moving to and fro. Please help me with scissors, Amaka, help me with this one, Ola, help me with that one. No, it will help you save so much time when it comes to sewing. Then another thing that will help you to save time while sewing is to iron in the process, like iron in the process. And when it comes to ironing, if you have a very serious or tedious job at hand, employ somebody. You know, before I used to have this mentality that I can do it all. I always feel like I can do it all. If I employ somebody now, we share the money into half. That thing is a very poor mindset. You may think that you are saving money, but you are losing money. You will be surprised that a job that you are supposed to do in a week, you will spend 2 3 weeks doing it. So by the time a new client will bring an outfit for you, you are still busy. But had it been you had help, that help would have helped you finish that clothes in 1 week, and if another job comes up, you take it. Like, sometimes it's good to employ somebody, even if it is just ironing. The person should be doing ironing for you. That thing helps. Have a standby someone that will be iron for you. That is one of the fastest thing. You will realize that ironing takes so much time. Do you know the reason why I don't spend so much time on YouTube videos? One of the reasons why I think I don't spend so much time on YouTube videos is because I don't iron most of the time. As I'm doing whatever I'm doing, they are ironing for me. As I'm doing whatever I'm doing, they are ironing for me. But when it comes to online class, I spend so much time creating online classes because I will have to show them the ironing process. Like, I do like everything myself, and I spend a lot of time, weeks. But if it is YouTube, I spend 1 hour, 2 hours, I'm done. But I think if you give me the same dress to teach in an online class, I'll spend almost 1 week, 2 weeks, because I'm doing everything myself. Because I want my students to see everything that I am doing. So that is another way that you can achieve a short sewing period. And then the last but not the least is fitting. As you are sewing, be measuring everywhere, so that if there is a fault at that little stage, you can correct it. But if you wait till you are done to measure, you may find it difficult. So as you are sewing, keep measuring. As you are sewing, keep measuring, so that once you are done, you are done. Once you are done shaping, you are done shaping. There will be no adjusting. No, there are sometimes that before you realize that you have made a mistake, you are already deep into the sewing process. So it is better for you to keep measuring while you are sewing. It will help you so that if you have any issue, you correct it early. Let's say you are doing inside finishing. Before you realize that your waist is 32, you have already finished everything. You know, inside finishing takes time. Adjusting inside finishing takes time. Before you realize you have gone far, but had it been you measured everything at that stage, at that little stage, it will help you correct that mistake before you get to the end. So guys, that is all for today. If you want to see more videos like this, do not forget to like and drop a comment in the comment section. Do not forget to subscribe. See you all in my next video. Bye.